Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 16th, presented by Mercury. We're going to connect with Lee Pitts, Tom Ott, and Josh Herron, and let them help you put a few more fish in your boat on your favorite body of water. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 16th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to head on up to that big old lake in the sky, Lake Guntersville, that mountaintop reservoir with big, giant demon bass. Tom, what's happening up there at Guntersville?
Man, I tell you, they are chewing right now, Dano. Fishing's really been hot. It's been almost as hot as the water and the weather right now. There's a lot of fish shallow and hanging out in that grass. And when I say shallow, I mean there's a decent rat bite happening right now. A lot of schooling activity, and pretty big schools. I mean, I'm seeing anything from, 1.5 pound, 2 pound fish to some schools of some 3 pounders, and upwards of 4. But just a lot of fish out there. Still a lot of fish on the river channels. People are just really picking those things off, using their electronics. It's see fish, catch fish kind of deal right now. But, I think some of the larger bags that we're seeing are coming flipping. Or doing something, towards the evening, maybe a topwater bite, but we're seeing some really big fish. I mean, some 8 and 9 pound class type fish are being weighed in right now.
What do you think the reason that those fish have gone shallow right now, when normally these fish are tending to move out and get themselves out there near that ledge?
I've got several theories on it, but I think most of it's just bait related is probably the biggest reason. But I mean, pressure. And when I say pressure, I don't necessarily mean pressure on the fish, but I mean the pressure of the fishermen out there. Everybody's trying to fish a ledge, and everybody's out there working, the same obvious type stuff, and I think some people have just broken off and gone shallow, and they're like, whoa, there's fish that live here too. So, there's just fish all over the place, and there's a lot of big ones that are being caught up, in that 5 foot of water type range.
What about other species? Are you seeing anything? Is there still a crappie bite to be had? Striper, maybe some catfish and brim?
Oh, yeah, definitely the catfish. Brim have gotten a little bit deeper, but they can still be caught, a worm or a cricket, something along those lines. The striper, the white bass are really schooling up a lot. You'll find those on the outskirts of these largemouth that are really getting going. I seen them in the bays, on the edge of the river channel, places like that. Crappie, I've talked to a couple of guys that are big crappie guys. It's been a little bit tougher, but they are getting up under those, still under the bridges, around the causeways, just a little bit deeper, but they are really following that bait for sure.
Well, you heard it there, folks. Might feel like bathwater, but you can still have some hot fishing. Tom, thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys, be safe out there. Tight lines.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 16th, presented by Mercury. We're joined by the always colorful Josh Herron to talk about Logan, Martin, and Lay Lake. Josh, what's going on down there on your end of the Coosa River?
Man, it's a struggle bus right now. It's definitely not the greatest I've seen. It's probably not the worst. We've had a lot of water come through the system over the past month or so, but the past couple of weeks, water's been really, really slow. And this time of year on the Coosa, current's king. And
that's the truth.
And when it gets really hot and flows really slow down, I mean, fishing gets tough. So it's definitely an early bite. There's still quite a bit of fish up shallow. We went to Lay this past weekend. Caught some spotted bass. I actually caught one really big largemouth, which is a good change of pace. But, man, it's definitely an early deal right now. Fish are going to be up shallow roaming like seawalls, grass edges. You're starting to see these big balls of bait show up shallow too, which traditionally happens when oxygen levels start getting really, really high on the surface. And then you'll get these fish that'll push shallower than you'll see them a lot, or than you would ever think they would be this time of year, just because we get such a hard thermocline in the river when the current slows down so much.
What are you targeting these fish with? Is it a dock pattern? Are you looking for grass? Do you have to move a bit? What's going on?
Man, so like in the morning deals, you're going to be throwing like stuff like a popper, a spook, a vixen, stuff like that, covering ground. Chunk rock, something that's really cool this time of year, especially with this moon we got coming. You're going to have to start seeing a lot of crawfish like really, really get up on rocks. stuff like that in the mornings. Later on towards the afternoon, you're going to start getting into like the deeper brush stuff. Any of that, like that 8 to 12 foot range, these fish, especially as boat traffic increases, they'll kind of push out on these little edges. I don't think you're going to see the mega schools or anything like that anywhere, but it's definitely a time of year where you can go pick up little clusters of fish here and there.
What area of the lake do you think we should be looking at? Is it still a mid-river deal, or is it time maybe to go up and check some of that water coming out of the Neely Henry Dam?
And so that's the problem right now. They're not generating any water until really late in the afternoon. So the river's bottomed out, low, just kind of red mud banks. And I mean, yeah, you can definitely catch some fish up there about like anywhere else. But right now, it's more based on generation schedule. If you want to go up to some of these tail races, you definitely need to wait or check your schedules, and you need to base it around water flows, because you'll probably do more harm than good going up there without flow.
Well, as always, Josh, we appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 16th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to catch up with our big carp snagging brother, Lee Pitts from up there at Weiss Lake. We saw that big old carp you landed. What's happening up there at Weiss Lake?
Hey, man, when it's like this, you take advantage of every bite you can get. So, you can only do what the lake will give you, and that was it. But no, things are getting better. It's still the heat of summer. It's hot. It's just that summertime fishing, but we're catching some fish this morning. I've got a trip out, and we had some pretty good blow-ups in the grass this morning. No big fish, but caught some on a 1/4 ounce buzz bait and had a couple of frog bites. So, that's pretty good. And now we're backed out trying to hit some of this deeper stuff. Still kind of waiting on the water to start moving to get those spots kicked in and get them going. But it's just one of those deals that you just kind of knocking around on some of these deeper little drops, the longer points. It's got a little bit of brush on it, a little bit of wood cover, and slowing down with some plastics. They still don't really want to chase anything, but just slowing down a little bit, the heat of summer, taking your time and just dragging some plastics around them.
What kind of plastics are you talking about? Shaky heads, Magnum shaky heads, Carolina rigs? What are we talking about?
We're throwing just the 6-inch shaky heads and try to get by with a light ahead as we possibly can. Just something to keep contact with it. We're not having much air, so we're just downsizing in line, throwing something small for them, and even putting some little speed crawls on the back of it. Some of the wobble heads, putting a speed crawl on there, dragging it around a little bit. And that seems to be some of the deeper brush. We're throwing some longer ribbon tail worms in it, just Texas rigs. That way we can kind of crawl it through those limbs. But for the largemouth bite, they seem to be holding more in the bigger limb treetops down there deep. The spots are on those hard bottoms, gravel bottoms with more of a stump-like root ball system. So we're just kind of knocking around with that.
What about Neely Henry? What are you seeing out of Neely Henry?
Neely's the same way right now. It's, that you really, really need that water to be moving. Once they get that current flowing, they're going to get out on some of these breaks and bends on that river channel. Anywhere you can find your harder bottoms, find some stumps. And it's also been a good dock bite. A lot of the guys I've talked to, especially going downriver right now, those fish, I think, have pulled out of some of that grass, and they're getting more on that wood cover. So all those docks that, is giving them a little bit of shade, flipping a jig, flipping creature baits, things like that. That's been holding most of the fish, getting on that shallow wood cover in those docks.
Well, Lee, as always, man, we appreciate everything. We know you're out there grinding. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, Dano. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you next week.
Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 16th, presented by Mercury. Thanks to the guys for everything that they do to help us catch a few more fish every week. Don't forget to come on by and see us at Bucks Island. If you need service, see Angela and everybody in the service department, Pat and the folks in parts. Don't forget to talk to the sales team, Katie, Melissa, and Patrick. And don't forget Big Chap, Jeffrey Chappell there with kayaks if you're interested in that. And then, of course, the Loft. Colin and Jamie upstairs will help you find the tackle that'll help you put a few more fish in your boat. Thanks for spending the time with us and for being the best part of Bucks Island. We'll talk to you again next week.